I came to the realization that I don't have to defend God. I am not in a position to be bigger than God that I need to defend him.
And what were you doing when you blew yourself in your garage up?
Next thing I remember was the fireball that came out of the engine compartment. Yeah. For real. I was like, what do you mean? Let's assume that you're the smartest person in the world. That's where I would, yeah.
I'm about to try something I've never done before, and that is I'm going to attempt to record a podcast right now, but unlike any other podcast I've recorded before, I haven't reached out to a single person. There's nothing planned right now. I'm going to just go through my contact list to see who's willing and able to hop on right now and record a podcast. My guess is that nobody's going to answer, or whoever answers is going to be like, I can't really do it right now. But that's kind of the fun of this. We're going to just see if we can spark up a spontaneous podcast. Let's do it. Here we go. Our first attempt.
Irmão, what's up, bro?
Irmão, tudo bem?
Yeah, just at work right now.
Oh, come on. How long you at work for? How long would it take if I was like, yo, hop on right now, let's record a podcast right now? How long would it take you to get set up?
Oh, I'm not ready for that today, bro.
0 for 1. Let's see who else we got on here. I got it. Person number 2. Let's attempt it.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone,
That's cold.
please record your message.
He sent me there.
When you have finished.
All right. Let's see who else we got. Oh, I got a text. Bro, sorry I can't chat right now. How long until you can? Question mark. Those aren't doing it. We're going to plot twist this, and we're going to go very close to home. This would be wild if this worked out. If somebody's like, yeah, I'm in it right now. Let's get on.
Yes, hello.
Hey, what are you doing?
Nothing.
What's your father doing?
I think he's in the shower.
What are you doing tonight? What are you doing the next like hour and a half?
Just chilling. Why?
Oh, baby. Are you up for a spontaneous podcast right now?
Sure.
Oh, baby, let's go. First, though, I'm not going to introduce you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to roast your own introduction. So, who do we have here today? What is your title, your interests? Who are we talking to? Let the people know.
Yeah, so my name is Billy Thomas. My title, I think the best one to go with here, just because I know you're going to roast me on this, is the oldest and best of the 3 brothers. Just to let you have that one there. I sent it to you. No, like, well, my actual title, I stole this actually from our other brother, is stuff doer. Like, I just love to do stuff around the house. I'm a
Blow
father,
up the house.
only on accident sometimes.
Blow up the house.
Yeah.
Torch your whole garage and be left in a hotel for months because you blew your home up.
Yeah.
Doer stuff around the house.
Yeah, I'm a
Go on.
doer stuff. Husband to an amazing wife who I'm so grateful she's picked me for all of these years. Still confused as to how I married up on that one, but I'll take it. Continue to go forward with that one always. Father to 2 amazing kids. There's a ton of people in this world that I enjoy being around, but those 2 are my pride, and I love watching them fulfill their life. So I think like the title of sideline dad fits in that space. Project manager at a logistics company, and then I would say tech lead for our church, leading in the tech ministry space of audio, video, and then last but not least, I would say I am one of those people in the world that also sucks at golf. So that's
Absolutely can confirm. Oh man.
To be
You know
fair,
what?
though, I did beat you on the hardest course that we've ever played together. So
On your birthday. Yeah, yeah,
on my
yeah.
birthday,
So
yeah,
arguably that was just me being a good brother and letting you have one win.
yeah,
I'm not going to clarify whether I was actually trying that day and still shot a very high score or not, but arguably because of the date that was a gift to you. So, yeah, you did beat me that day. I totally admit that. You beat
yeah,
me that day. Whether that was a legitimate win or not is TBD.
yeah.
So, I've always wanted to ask you this question on the record. Why did you shoot me in the face with an arrow?
I never shot you in the face with an arrow. Like I'm telling you, bro. Like you keep bringing this up, like I did it. I did not shoot you. I was standing next to our neighbor when he released the arrow, and I watched
Whose
you.
bow? Whose bow was it?
Oh, it was 100% my bow and my arrow. Like I made it, but I didn't release the arrow. Like, so like. I mean,
Nobody's buying that.
look, I don't care if anybody buys it or not. Like, it's the truth. So, like,
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the truth. And in a situation like that, you're totally right. Like accidents happen, or even people get blamed for things that weren't really them. But let's just move on past that, and let me just ask you this: did you ever call me Chief Arrow Cheek?
oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, then why would you? If you did it, come on.
What do you mean? That was your nickname. That's how all kids get nicknames. Like, at those different ages, or the horrible things that happen to them. Like,
From their oldest brother. Yeah.
Look, I did
Okay,
not shoot
but
the
you
arrow.
didn't-
I did call you Chief Arrow Cheek, mainly because when that fiberglass homemade arrow stuck in your cheekbone, I had to pull it out. So
You're the one that pulled it out.
I am the one that pulled it out.
Wait, why did you pull it out if wait a minute.
Yeah.
If you didn't shoot me,
Okay.
why were you the one to pull it out of my face?
Because I was there.
But there were other people there. The neighbor boy who shot
Yeah.
me. Allegedly.
He shot you. You can believe it or not. But
Why
yeah.
why were you the one to pull it? Was it because you were like, "Oh shit, I'm about to get so in trouble for shooting him in the face with this arrow. I need to pull this out." The child freak out like, "I don't want proof of me having shot my baby brother in the face with an arrow." Is that why?
It was all of that except for where you said I shot you in the face with the arrow, because I did not shoot you.
I'm gonna get
But I was
before
terrified.
I die.
Look, you could try like crazy, but I didn't shoot you, bro. Like, look,
Okay.
I was absolutely terrified, and when you screamed, again, you were like 4. I think you were like
Yeah.
4 or 5. So I
Yeah.
was 11 or 12, and like I was terrified because it was my responsibility to watch you when mom and dad were at the neighbor's house. And when that arrow hit and I heard you scream, I knew that they could hear you 2 houses away. So I was terrified and pulled the arrow out so that I wouldn't get in trouble, which failed miserably. Like I still got massive trouble because I presumed that if I locked the door, a 5-year-old would not be able to open it and come outside.
False.
Yeah,
False.
very
A tough
false.
way. A tough way to learn that was false by targeting me. You had a whole neighborhood where you could have shot that arrow, but good aim though. At least I applaud you for that. Good aim. You hit your target, and all right,
I did
moving
not
on.
hit
So
my
now that-
target. Nice try.
now that
though.
we've got that covered, and we finally got to the bottom of that. What is life like as a project manager at a logistics company? Because what it feels like to me is logistics are already hard enough for people to go like, okay, I'm going to organize and get everything in place at the right time and right place and right space. But then you're project managing, which is like doing that on level hard, I feel like.
Yeah, so like doing it in the space that we do it in. So our department is actually a training department. So we train on internet-based applications. And so I'm having to coordinate these trainings in over 1,100 buildings across North America. and we have a team of 100 people. Also coordinating at that same time is we're a project within another project. So we're coordinating with all these other departments that are on their own kind of submission, and we're trying to rally it together. And so the actual nickname that myself and the other two project managers in our department call ourselves, and actually I don't know that anybody in our department knows this, we refer to ourselves...
They might learn now.
Yeah, if they watch this, we refer to ourselves as the Cat Wranglers.
That is so much bester. That's like, in my head, it was like, ooh, when you said, I don't know if anybody knows this, I was thinking we're the clusterfucks or something like this.
No.
You know, Cat Wranglers is okay. I feel like that's not terrible. It could be way worse than that.
Yeah, it could be worse. I don't know that I would come up with worse than that. I would laugh at things that were worse than that, but I don't know that I'd come up with it. But yeah, that's what it feels like, right? Like if you're imagine that you're in a 100-acre open field and you've got 1,000 wild cats and you're trying to wrangle them all. Like that's what our day in and day out is. Even to the point that like no single day is the same for me, right? Like there's not a single day that is the exact same, and it's wonderful because it's always new, it's always fresh. And so that's the life of a project manager at a logistics company.
That sounds miserable, but
I love it.
I have names. I have names like other than the Cat Wranglers that are playing through my head, and one in particular is like I can't share this, but it's a play on Cat Wrangler. There's some alliteration involved. I'm not going to say this on here just because I know it would make you highly uncomfortable. But another word for cat, pacifiers. So there's alliteration, and it's the something pacifiers. And that's why I'm dying here, because that just popped into my head. You guys can workshop that and see if you guys want to upgrade the name or not. But, okay, so every day's different. You travel a bunch. You go all over North America, and you love your job. You're having a good time with it.
Yeah.
I've watched your growth in this company, and it has baffled me. And I've brought this up so many times because I'm not gonna shit on your formal education, despite me. I have a degree, yay, but I also shit on formal education. I just think it's a large level of a joke in so many instances. But all that to say, there's few people that make it as high as you in a Fortune 500 company who don't have their bachelor's degree.
Yep.
And I would argue even fewer who have climbed as quickly as you have. I think there was a span of maybe 3 years or 4 years where I think you had you had more promotions than you had years at the company.
Yeah. So I'm 10 years. So May this year will be my 11th year with the company. And with this company, I've never gone more than a year and a half without a promotion.
What a joke.
Yeah.
What a joke.
And I think it's like, for me, it's the ignorance is bliss, because I don't know I'm not supposed to do that. Like, I see things that open, and I'm like, hey, that looks like it'll be fun. I'm going to apply. I'm going to talk to the people, and I get the job. And, like, I just found out, actually, a year and a half ago, there were some people that got promoted the same time I did, like 5 years ago. And they didn't move up like I did, and they were actually having conversations with their managers, and they literally said, you cannot look at Billy's path because that's not how it goes.
That's what I'm saying, dog.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Like the thing I think is, like, God's orchestrated all of this is the only thing that makes sense to me, because like you said, I'm not super educated. I don't have like this massive feeling. formally
let me
educated.
just correct that. You're not super formally educated, but you have a wide expanse. Like the amount of things you've done, you started this like you're a doer of things. The amount of things you've done is a lot more than most people. But formal education, you don't have a high level formal education, which again I think is, you know,
Yeah.
I kind of snuff at that unless you're a specific professional, right? Your attorneys, your architects, things like that. It's like unless you're going that route, I think formal education it's just shoddy. It is not the way to go these days. Maybe I've been drinking the entrepreneurial Kool-Aid, but I just think that going 4 years and spending $100,000+ of debt that you can't even bankrupt yourself from, it's like forever debt, even though people can go borrow $2 million and then bankrupt it and never have to pay it back. You go and you borrow $100,000, you're 18 years old, 19 years old, $200,000, $250,000 before you know what's what, plus the 4 years of you spending money on food, on lodging, on all this stuff. And then maybe you start a job. If you're lucky, you make 50 grand, 60 grand, even 70, 80 grand. Instead of start day one, just start working somewhere and then figure the game out, because then you're not bleeding yourself over and over and over through the years. You started whatever job and you learn as much as you can on the job from other people and all that stuff, and in 4 years you've made 100K, even at 50K starting, you know, you work overtime and all that stuff, and you're not in the hole. Plus you have the education of real hands-on stuff versus theory of school. That's my rant over. Carry on.
Yeah. I would agree with you though. Like there's a very small number of fields that I think the education makes sense. You know, and I've mentored a lot of people over the years, and I always tell high schoolers, I was like, if you don't know what to do when you're getting out of high school and you say, you know what, I'm going to school no matter what, you need to go as a business manager. That's the only thing that's going to apply to every single industry from a schooling standpoint. And if you're not going to do school, I would encourage people to do trades. Like I tell people all the time, if I was to do it over again, I would be an electrician. That's the one that I would pick. You know, I think
that's
for
hard
some
for
of,
me.
Some of those with heart problems, probably not a good idea.
I would call it a heart challenge. And second of all, that's not even why. The reason why is, if you recall, when Ryan and I went out to visit you in Texas and we went to Six Flags.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That's why. That's why.
Yeah,
there are the trades. Electricity is not the one I would recommend people do, based on having very nearly been struck by lightning, and the feeling of that, and the sheer raw power and near zero warning. Right? There's other trades you could do where you're like, oh man, something might go crazy here, and you get a kind of at least a little bit of warning. Brace yourself. Electricity is not one of them. Electricity jumps, and the boom of that lightning strike, and hopefully, old buddy that went down, hopefully they made it. If not, RIP. But that's why, not because of the heart stuff.
Yeah. No, I think I don't know. That's always been an interesting one to me. Is like, you know, the wiring schematics and things like that. So that's where I would pick. Yeah, we're getting to that in a minute here, right? Or are we going there now?
No, we're getting to it right now.
Okay, right now.
Right now we're getting into it. That's always been of interest to you. And what were you doing when you blew yourself in your garage up a couple years ago? Messing with wires and electricity.
Fair, yeah, it was 4.5 years ago, and I was replacing the starter switch on our Wave Runner. So,
oh man, that's
it was. It still baffles me to this day, because the only thing I could think of is that current went through me, because I was holding the two wires that complete that circuit like this. There was no arc in front of my face, nothing like that, and the next thing I remember was the fireball that came out of the engine compartment of the Wave Runner, and it knocked me back. And like, as fast as I went back, I came forward, and instantly there was 1.5 feet of flames out of the engine compartment. So,
oh god.
But to be fair, I think had I had an electrician's level of understanding of how wiring schematics work, that probably would have been preventable. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
like,
maybe. I'm about to put up a photo.
oh,
I'm
is
gonna
this
put up
right
a
after?
photo that was immediately after you were visited and treated by the medics.
Yeah. So yeah, that was so my
That's
left hand
fresh
there. I
after garage door blow up.
that was
Let me zoom in so you can see the hair that's
yeah,
completely singed across the face.
yeah. If you get a good look at the left side there, you could actually, if you zoom in on that eyebrow, half of that eyebrow's gone too, because
Oh
it
my!
got burnt off.
Your left eyebrow.
Yeah. So
Oh,
no, the other one. That's the normal one. That's the right.
oh my!
Yeah. Go to the other one. Yeah. Look at that. See, it looks like I got Hitler's stash for an eyebrow left. Uh, but yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on. So, electrician, huh?
Yeah, that's the way I would tell kids to go from a union standpoint and a trade school.
I'm
Any
not
trade
sure
though,
how.
but
There
yeah,
we go. There we go. Good save. I'm not sure how strong that recommendation stands now. But totally, dude. I support the trades as well. I think that's a great move. If you don't know what to do, at least you'll get going. You'll get work right away. You're going to develop a skill. And boy, if you're lucky, you won't blow yourself up a few years down the road.
yeah. Or you're lucky and you live through it, right? Like that's actually funny is like in my profile at work. Like we had to put our profiles on a web page so people would know who we are when they're looking us up and everything. And you had to put a fun fact. And my fun fact is in July of 2020, I blew up my garage with me in it.
That is so true.
Yeah.
So true. So, okay. I know I cut you off a bunch. Did you get out what you were like, hold on, we'll get to that? And I was like, no, we'll get to it right now. Did you get out what you wanted to share?
Oh, that was so long ago. I don't even remember what it was.
Okay, it was about the trades and like how you
Oh
know,
yeah, with the
encouraging-
trades, yeah, definitely do the trades.
Yep.
Like, if
Yep.
if they don't know what they want to do, like it's, I mean, at worst case, you're going to learn how to take care of your own house, right?
Yep.
Like even if you go into a different career later on. So, yeah,
That's a very good point. I hadn't thought about it from that angle. Oh man, so your career. This is so good for me because I am starting to see more clearly than ever why your faith in God is so strong.
oh, like yeah,
Because you look at your career, you look at your DIY projects,
yeah,
and you look at these outcomes, and it's like you have been so close to the Darwin Award. You know, those that don't know Darwin
Yeah.
Awards, it's like, you know, natural selection. The Darwin Award is basically an award that goes to somebody who kills themselves accidentally by doing some of the dumbest thing you could possibly do. That's how you win a Darwin Award. And these instances, because that's just one example. There's quite a few
yeah.
out there, especially we go back to your childhood where mom and pops are like, this guy had a gold card to the emergency room. Like they were going to name a wing after you
Yeah.
for how frequently.
So here's the thing with that though, that was actually suggested by the ER doctor. So what happened was my third ER visit in the month to get stitches. The ER doctor was walking by as we were coming in, and he's like, "You're back? You should just get a gold card."
So true.
Yeah.
So this is making it so much more clear to me of like your faith. Like you know, when you hear people say, how did you come to God? You know, how did you find Jesus and things like this? And there's always some story that people can point to. And it's usually, you know, when people are older in their adult life, it's usually like, you know, I hit rock bottom. I was lost. I, was stuck doing this, whether it's like I was leaning on this crutch or that crutch, alcoholism, gambling. I wasn't being faithful. I was losing my relationships. Like there's all these dark experiences that people have had that they go, in my darkest hour, this kind of happened. And here I am. I'm so strongly related with my man upstairs. Your story is not that. As I'm starting to connect these dots, your story is like, whew, if I'm looking back over the years, there's a lot of times I could have got, and I didn't get got. So there had to be somebody else's hand in there because nobody's that lucky. You don't play Russian roulette with one round in the revolver, and there's 6 spots, and you don't even spin it each time. You just pull the trigger 7 times and survive. You just don't do that. But you have clearly done that over these years.
Yeah, I would say that was not a founding part of my coming to faith. It was more of a recognition afterwards of seeing God's hand on me, despite my massive stupidity in the things that I would attempt to do, that he protected me all these years. It's definitely one of those things. I tell people, I look back and I see them as fingerprint moments, right? The moments that I see that God intervened in my life in different things. I would say the actual coming to faith was kind of I'm not really an emotional person, right? I don't have a lot of emotional range in my feelings. It's not something I've really been developing my whole life and kind of going with. But there was a very emotional response to when I felt God's presence that really changed me and kind of changed that trajectory, right? That was in college. I actually started going to church just because the pastor's daughter was super cute and I was dating her, and she's like, "Hey, you got to go." And I was like, "Okay, I'll go, whatever." I wasn't really interested in church. I was interested in her.
Whatever I got to do to be around you.
That's pretty much what it was. Is I was like, I wasn't for it. I wasn't against it, right? Like mom and dad didn't raise us against religion. It wasn't anything that they pushed on us. It was you figure out for yourself. And so I was pretty whatever when I went in there. And so being there and kind of hearing what was coming from the pulpit, and then started reading for myself. And then I had an actual emotional response that I had never felt before. And it was it was very weird. And I was like, "Oh, what was that?" And so the next couple months, I started praying and started kind of talking about it with people to kind of figure out what was going on. And that was so that was probably around March of that year. So we started dating in January. About March it started happening, and then May is when I actually made the decision to say, "Yeah, okay, I'm going to follow God." And it was it was a 180 of my life. It was the craziest thing, because all my life I knew what I was going to do, right? With me, my entire life was baseball.
100%.
I wanted nothing to do in the world other than baseball. And that was
still
my entire
holds high
focus.
school records. For the record, still holds high school stolen base record. One of your other records just went down a couple years ago, but you still hold, I think, the stolen base record. But who's counting?
Yeah, I wasn't very good, but that was my life, and it was one of those things that I just knew that was my path, and I knew that's where I was going. And so, in college, when that happened, it actually redefined who I was as an individual. Because before that, I always kind of identified as baseball is me, right?
Yep.
That's where I found my identity. And coming to that point of, okay, it's not necessarily baseball. It's what am I and who am I in this world, and how do I want to live this life? And it was almost overnight, my entire passion for pursuing professional baseball was gone. Now, my passion for baseball, I still love the game. I still love to watch it. Still love to coach. I wish I could coach, but as much as I travel now with my job, it's still such a foundational part of who I am. But it's not my identity of what it was, and it no longer was my goal. And it was a really weird feeling to have this thing that I wanted my whole life to just go away. And wasn't even like I felt empty. Like I still felt like I had a true purpose in being myself. And so it was a crazy turn in. Actually, when I made that decision that summer, I started I was on tour doing some like minor league and major league tryouts, and had an agent that wanted to sign me and everything. You know all that.
Yeah.
And like I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore.
But the listeners don't know all that. The listeners
Yeah.
don't know that you as a catcher, your pop to pop was like 0.02 seconds off of the greatest catcher of that era of Major League Baseball. They don't know that.
Yeah, I had a 1.79 pop to pop, and at that time, Pudge Rodriguez was actually at 1.76, and he was
Bing
kind of the
bong.
top guy at that time. So I was clocked at that. You know, our whole family is super fast. I mean, you and Ryan both were in track. I was running a 6.660, which in baseball world, that's kind of equivalent to the 4.40. You know, I was second in the team in our 40-game season in home runs. I was first team all-league catcher in college. Like, you know, I had a lot of things that were pointing me in that direction, and I even had several D1 schools and other scouts that were like, "Yeah, you decide where you want to go," and
Yeah.
I could basically
And
make
even
that.
arguably your GPA was also pointing you in the direction of Major League Baseball
Yeah,
because you didn't
yeah.
have any other option.
Yeah, no, I had options. There was actually there was one coach from Missouri. He was in town for a different recruit. I forget where he was at, and he came over and he was talking to me, and he goes, "You got any interest in college?" And I was like, you know, I'm second year in, and I was like, I enjoy baseball, but I don't really enjoy class. And he goes, "Yeah, you know, like we work with a lot of different kids and everything." And the coach handed him my transcript from college, and he goes, "Yeah, you probably shouldn't go to a 4-year." Like, and it wasn't my GPA in college. Like my GPA in college was decent, but it was
Yeah.
more of the classes I took, right? Like the classes I took, they were pointless. I had reading
Yeah.
101, I had reading 105, I had speech 101, speech 105, I had baseball fundamentals, I had baseball
I remember
elective.
going to your baseball class. I remember going to your
Yes.
baseball class with you.
Yeah. It was run by our coach. Like it was part of how we learned the some of the deeper things of baseball, right? Like and
Yeah.
again, I was there on a college scholarship, like playing baseball. Like that's part of what I was there
Yeah.
for. But I had no interest in going to the next level. And he looked at my transcript and he goes, "Yeah, you probably shouldn't do that." I was like, "All right."
Yeah, D1's not for you. They actually, yeah, we actually need you to know
Yeah.
some stuff in classroom. Yeah, dude, I think you are the epitome of like English is a tough language. There's some things where it's like, oh, how do you spell knife? And it's like but the K is silent. And it's like that's weird. You were a student athlete, but the student was silent. That's
Oh,
all.
100%. Yeah. Well, no, not
That's all it
true.
was?
I was a student of baseball. Like
Yeah.
I studied baseball. Like there was a ton of things in the baseball world that I was a student of. But
True.
like outside the foul lines, there's like I remember I actually took one class because they told us that the teacher she was a teacher for a famous NFL star. And they told us that she loved that NFL star so much that if you got her talking about him, she wouldn't do anything else the rest of the class. And so we coordinated between like 7 of us that we would take turns going to class because we only had it twice a week. So we'd take turns and one of us would get her talking about it. And I only went to class, I think, like maybe 6 times that entire quarter, and I still got a B. Cause
Got to be some kind of record there.
yeah, I was like, this is great. I wish every college class was like this.
That is so good. Okay, so if somebody was listening to this and didn't know the topic, you know, your experience with meeting your wife and then going to church and then a few months later committing to God and everything like this. If somebody didn't know what topic we were talking about, they might think that you're actually talking about going through puberty. Because you're like, I'm feeling stuff I've never felt before.
Yeah.
What is it? And I got to start, I'm asking around like, hey, man, you know anything about this? So
Yeah.
what would you say if, like, let's say you were going to factory create that experience to where you could bestow it upon somebody. If somebody were interested in like, hey, I want to go from however I'm living life and I want to intentionally put this experience on myself or onto somebody else. If you could be like, hey, we can manipulate the environment in such a way that these are the variables that have to happen in order for somebody to have this kind of identity epiphany that you had where you went from like baseball is everything, I am baseball, to wait a minute, who's this God character you speak of? And then, oh, I'm rolling with this dude, right? How would you say this perfect series of events happened for you? And how is that same or different from other people's experience where they have this like light bulb moment? Like I mentioned, some people hit rock bottom and then Christianity or whatever religion, it's kind of the same case across the board, pops in at that time. And so that's where they kind of make that bond. So how had this happen for you? Because this wasn't like a life load necessarily, right?
No, it wasn't a life low at all. Like, I mean,
Right.
honestly, like this happened actually after what I would have called like my ideal week in college baseball. Like spring break in college baseball was my favorite week because we hosted a 4-day tournament. So our entire world that week was wake up. We used to go to this local restaurant for breakfast right by the dorms. We'd walk across the street, and we were at the field all day long, playing baseball, watching baseball, setting up the field, talking baseball. Like, that was 4 days. And so it was right after that week, and then went to service that weekend. I don't remember what the preacher preached on. It's probably bad because he's now my father-in-law, and I probably should remember those kind of things. But I don't remember what the message was. I just remember going up front, and they said, hey, if you want prayer, come up front. And I went up front, and somebody that I have no idea who their voice was, they put their hand on my back, and they started praying. And it was like I went from the clearest of clear of thinking about baseball to the clearest of clear that God is who I need to follow. I didn't know anything about God. Like at this point, again, I'd been in church for other than the month and a half when I was 12. This totals like 3 months that I've been in church. And it was like crystal clear. This is what I need to do. This is where I need to go. And it was all of these emotions of joy, confusion, frustration, love, peace, like all these things that I never even considered or took the time to think of, right? Like that was one of the things I've always been jealous of you and Ryan is you guys were, I would call like patient thinkers growing up, that you contemplated things in life. Like you thought about these things outside of yourselves.
That's just called being slow, Billy.
You just slow.
We were a little bit slow. We took us some time to get up and move it. You know what I'm saying? Like a patient thinker is I feel like that's a very elegant way to be like, you guys were a little bit slow, you know?
No, because like the things you guys would think about and talk about, right? Like I never even considered any of it. You know, I was so about just going to the next thing and doing the next thing and going to have fun and do the next thing. And it was actually a super big epiphany for me in 2014. So I went back to school, finished my AA because I was like, I feel like this is what I need to do. And I had to take an elective. I didn't know what to take. And at that time, my daughter, Destiny, was super into art. And I am not an artistic person, right? Like, that's very far from me. And I was like, I'll take art class. And this is in the fall of 2014. I go into the art class, and they're like, hey, your fall project.
How old are you at this point? Just for the people that don't want to do the math.
So I was 82. So I think I was, 32?
Okay,
Yeah.
32. You have 2 children. Go on.
Yeah. So I go into the art class, and again, this is a community college, and the professor's like, okay, your assignment is you have to paint leaves of 5 different colors. And I looked at the professor and I was absolutely dumbfounded. Yeah, for real. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, leaves are green. Like they're one color. I don't know what you're talking about. And you've talked about how you love the foliage change, right? We've lived in this house at that point, right? We moved in 92. I left for a few years. So like it's over a decade that I had lived in this house in this area. And they told us that, and I was like, I was dumbfounded. And then they took us outside into the plaza to pick up the leaves. And that was the first time that I stood there and looked around and was like, holy crap, look at all these colors. Like I had never dawned on me or noticed that there was that many colors in leaves. And I was like, and it was just, that was the epiphany moment of like, because I was so about go to the next thing, go to the next thing.
Right.
And so like that was kind of that similar moment of when I encountered God was, hey, you were focused on this next thing. Stop focusing on that. Be in this moment and see all of these other things that you need to be a part of. Right. Mm-hmm. And so it changed just kind of the way that I went about things. I went in less than a year later, I moved to Texas and I walked into a church, told the pastor of the church, like, hey, I want to be your youth pastor. And he was like, cool. I was ignorant. I was dumb. Didn't know what I was getting into. One of the greatest experiences of my life, though, right? Like, walked into a youth group. There's 14 kids in the youth group. 12 of them are foster kids. So now not only teaching these kids about God, they don't even want to be at church because they're in a foster home. And that was another one of those of like, just, we talked about how I kind of make these dumb decisions and just go with it. That would be one that would be not considered wise, because the first series that I did in that youth group, I did the 10 major Bible stories, right? I was like, this is a great place to start for the kids. Problem is I had to spend a week going around talking to the people in the church because I didn't know what the 10 Bible stories were. I was like, hey, what's your favorite Bible story? Hey, what's your... And so like I compiled like 40 people's responses and I picked the 10 most common out of their responses because I hadn't been through the entire Bible at that point. Like it was literally like the blind faith thing, but I knew it was right. And it was one of the greatest moments of my, like, greatest times of ministry in my life was that youth group, right? Because there were so many things that we got to see God do in people that most of the world forgets about, right? Like, you know, when I talk about the 12 foster kids, most of them were teenagers. So by the time they hit 12 years old in foster care, they know they're not getting adopted. Yeah. They also know that every adult in their life is getting paid to be there. Yeah. Nobody really cares for them. And it was just the coolest experience to be there. Like, we volunteered. We never got paid by the church. We took the kids out for different events and things like that. And to just be able to really love on kids in a way that we experienced, right? Like, mom and dad loved us big time for where they came from, not having any kind of example. Right. Yeah. And it was like to be able to pour that out and give that to others was just phenomenal. But yeah, that's one of those moments, right? Like where I knew that that's what I was supposed to do. And so trying to bottle that up and give it to somebody, I can't. Like I've even had these conversations with my kids, like trying to explain how I know when God's speaking to me. I can't explain it, right? I can't explain how that happens. I can't explain even the miracles that I've had happen to me. Why did I get that? Why did they happen to me? I can't explain that, right? God is the ultimate one in control, but it's just been an awesome experience. And even everyone I talk to that has those moments of where they interacted with God and their life changed, nobody describes it the same. So, you know, if they're describing, they might describe the outcome or the situation they were in, but their interaction is unique. And then on top of that, I'm not super articulate. So I don't have a mass vocabulary to really give the words to be able to describe what it is. Like, you know, that's a hard part for me when I was coaching is
Yeah.
being a natural athlete, you're like, hey, do it like this. And they're like, what does that mean? And I'm like, okay, let's back up. We got to break this down a little bit more. I got to go here, right? Like, and so
Yeah.
I've tried to figure out, how do I articulate that to people? And I can't articulate the emotional, I'll say, roller coaster that I went through at that moment, to understand that there was so much more in life outside of what I had already experienced, and that would change the trajectory of where I felt like I was supposed to go and what I was supposed to go after.
Yeah. You know what? First of all, however your journey has led you, one of the things that I brag most about you to other people when they, siblings or family and things come up, one of the things that I brag most about is there's this question of like, what is a good Christian, right? And whether you've been to church, in church, you're non-religious, whatever, there's like, everybody has a sort of general experience with someone who's a Christian, right? And it's typically not the greatest experience. It's kind of like, oh man, this, like, I would equate it to when CrossFit was the biggest thing, or like going vegan was the biggest thing. I would equate it to a vegan who does CrossFit, where it's just like they're just trying to ram it down your throat, and it's always going to come up no matter where, when, or how, and all these things. And it's just like, okay, read the room, dude. Like, chill, right? On top of that, the behavior that you exhibit doesn't really make me want to go and do whatever it is that you do. Yeah. That's the general like feeling. Everybody's kind of had that experience, and whether that's the accurate overall experience with like meeting a Christian, or it's just like those are like news, right? Bad news is what sticks, and so that's why news is all terrible, pretty much. Not necessarily saying that's representative of the whole, but everybody's sort of had that experience. One of the things that I brag most about you is that when I think of over the years, it's like, man, as I've questioned religion, right? I've questioned religion across the board, different religions, Christianity, everything within, without, and all around. And one of the things that is always like stuck out is, man, it seems like Christianity should be this beautiful thing. Like being a Christian should be this beautiful experience when you meet someone, not as like, oh, they're glowing, like their aura, but like there's an aura about the person that you're just like, I just love this person. I don't know what it is, but I just love this person. And that's the feeling they leave you with. The thing that I've always bragged about you and the way I describe you is I'm like, I tell people, when you think of the ideal Christian, what that person looks, behaves, and treats you like, that's Billy. Like, that's my brother. This is not a dude who is performative in any way. This is not a dude who is trying, even when you were preaching, it wasn't like you were trying to be this thing and stepping into this realm that isn't you. It's just like, this guy just lives it. And not only that, I can't tell you how many people, after I've introduced them to you and everything, if I didn't tell them that, like, oh yeah, he's big into his homie Jesus and stuff, right? If I don't tell them, if I don't tip them off afterwards, they're just like, man, your brother's dope. Like, he's so cool. This guy is so rad. Like, what does he do? What is he into? And then I'll share it, and they'll be like, I had no idea. And I'm like, yeah, that's because he lives it how it's supposed to be lived. That's how you do it. You don't perform your values, right? People write these things down. This is what I value. This is what's important to me and all that stuff. So I have to perform it. I have to shout it from the mountaintops and stuff. It's like, nah, when you're living your values, they just show up in how you live. That's kind of how it works, right? So you kind of can't hide from those things. So that's one of the things that I would say, like, I brag most about you. I've heard Mom do this publicly as well to people, the same thing, right? So the question that I have that I'm setting up here with all of this is, what is it about your journey and your perspective on this, on religion, on Christianity, on your relationship with God? What is it about this for you specifically that allows you to operate and live this way, but also to receive openly challenges, curiosities, criticisms, and things like this that don't like ignite you into explosion or turn you into an offensive person or someone who has been offended? What is it about you and the way that you go about this that's so unique from most people that they just don't really seem to grasp? That's what I want to get.
So I'll say it's two parts. First off is I'm jacked up. Like, I know that I am jacked up, and everybody else is too. So, like, unless you're going to, you know, literally be perfect, how do you get to, you know, hold somebody else to that standard, right? It comes back to, you know, Jesus where he's talking about cast the first stone, right? There's all these theories about what he wrote in the sand and everything like that. And I don't know for sure. The way I kind of refer to that story is I think in a way that, or I won't say I think, I imagine when Jesus wrote in the sand, he wrote every single sin of all the people standing around. And so it was very clear, like, hey, you're just as jacked up. Yours just looks different. And so, like, I don't expect anybody to act a certain way or be a certain way. And I'm going to live what I believe. They're going to live what they believe. And then we interact, right? So, like, that's kind of the first part, is just accepting who I am and that I'm just as broken as anybody else. And then the second one, I think, is I was able to lay down the pride that comes with Christianity that so many people have, that you feel like you have to defend God. Like, I'm not bigger than God. Why do I have to defend him? Like, why can't
Can
people...
you just say that one more time? Because that is mind blowing. Say that one more time, please.
Yeah. I came to the realization that I don't have to defend God. I am not in a position to be bigger than God that I need to defend him. People can be mad. They're going to be mad in this world. They're going to be hurt by the things that are happening in a broken world. Like, you don't have to defend God. At the moment that you feel like you have to defend God, you think that you're higher than God and he can't defend himself and he's not in control. And so, like, when I got to that point, it was such a different way for me to interact with people that even don't believe, right? Like, kind of on the backside of that, a lot of that pride that people get into and kind of casting their judgment and their beliefs on people, I think is also a misidentification of the individual. Because how do you get mad at somebody for not living by the Bible if they don't claim to live by the Bible? If I didn't make that commitment, you can't hold me to that commitment. So if somebody is, and I'm going to go super extreme here just for the example, right? If somebody is not a believer and they go and kill somebody, is it horrible? Absolutely. Is it the worst thing that can happen? Absolutely. But are they outside of their moral compass? No. That's the morals that they chose to live by. So just like I'm choosing to live by the morals of the Bible, they're choosing their own morals. And so, excuse me, sorry, I don't have the place to put that on somebody else. And so I've gotten out of the idea of I have to defend God and I have to justify what God does, because even in the act of justification assumes that I have the knowledge. I don't know why God does what God does. Like, you know, like that. I heard one guy explain it like the way of, let's assume that you're the smartest person in the world and you take all of world knowledge that we have right now. Let's say on the high side, that equals 5% of the all knowledge of history. You have 5% knowledge of who God is. Like, you really don't have an understanding. And that's why it's like throughout your life, you're going to get continual revelation and get these new insights to who God is. So when you start to get that perspective of how big God is, how important we are, even as non-believers, you kind of get away from the pride aspect of getting mad at people for some of those things, right? Like, for me, I actually get more upset with people that believe and don't follow those things blatantly. Like, that's been more of an irk thing for me. That's more of like where I stumble and I get, like, that'll set me off more than anything. Like, you can ask my kids, right? Like, there's certain things that when I explode, those are the types of things that really, really irk me out. Because you're making a stance, right? Like, you're saying, this is who I am, this is the way I'm going to live, and then you're blatantly not doing that. And so that's the ones that kind of get me.
Got you. That's dope. I feel like that's how it should be. Like, to make it relatable in modern day terms, to me, that's like you being the guy on the police force that you're going to reprimand your partner for excessive force. use of excessive force or something like, it's like, dude, we agreed to be a part of this thing together, and you are not performing how you're supposed to be performing, and I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to hold you accountable. Like, we're not blaming the public or these people out there for behaving this way or that way, whatever, because they didn't take this oath like you and I did, you know. So I think of it in that way, where you hold to an even higher standard instead of like, oh, I'm going to go out and fight this fight to everybody and try to fight everybody. You're like, I got to make sure our people are set, like that perspective. And on top of that, the thing that blows me away, like, so the 2 points are, realize that you are just as flawed as everybody else. Your flavor of flaw is just different. Yep. And the second thing is understanding that the person, the thing, the entity that a lot of people are so triggered to try to fight for is perfectly capable of defending themselves and handling their own fights, and it's not your fight to step in and fight. And that, to me, in present day sort of societal terms, is like the equivalent of seeing some two dudes that are about to scrap. You're out at the restaurant, the bar, whatever, two dudes are going to scrap, and it's like, do I step in because I'm a judo master who does kung fu and all this stuff? Do I step in to help fight this fight? Or am I just going to be like, that's not my fight. Like, old buddy, he got himself into it. Old buddy can see his way out of it. You know, like, not every fight is yours to step into. And even more so, I think that removing the pride of that and feeling like, oh man, I have to fight for this all the time and like convince people. It's like, that kind of speaks to the relationship of you with God is different from the next person with God. It's like your relationship is a direct line. It's not through the church, or it's not through this or that, whatever, right? So in this sense, it's kind of the same thing. Like, I don't need to defend or I don't need to prove and do all this stuff. I just need to live it, which I love. I think that is that's such a great breakdown, not just for how you have been and how you've lived for as long as I can remember, but it's also something that's so applicable. Like, to me, what's going through my head is like, you know, having two little kids, it's like there are some things in society that I might see and I might typically want to speak up against, you know, scenario dependent, of course, like, hey, that's not right. Don't do this. Don't, you know, and try to step into handle things based off my own set of morality and societal norms. But at the same time, if I've got my two little kids with me and it's just me and, you know, there's a situation, I might just be like, I got to let this one slide, because what's more important here, like, that's not the battle I have to step into. And I take that same thing as like, just remove the pride from that. Yes, you want to go and teach this lesson and all that stuff, but like, remove your pride, and that's how you keep your kids safe in this scenario, right? Yeah. So I think it's more applicable than just your experience, your walk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's a big point to your bar example, right? Two guys are about to get into it at the bar. Who's right? If you're not directly involved in that, who are you going to support? You might go support the little guy, but the little guy started it. It's his fault. He's getting stomped out. Like, that's on him. Like, you know, it's not anything that you wish. And so I think of that the same way as, why are you laughing?
I got a story for you. I don't know if we've ever told you this story.
Oh.
But hold on, hold your point to where you were just about to take this. All right, you got it?
Yeah, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right. So when Ryan was coming to college, you know, I roll with him. You know, he's going to school, Vancouver, Washington, and he's going there to run track, and his fellow track teammate. I'm not gonna drop his name, but you know the brothers. It was the younger of the brothers. We're rolling together. I'm I'm cruising in the back seat of this little 2-door coupe, sun shining. Everybody's feeling good because it's the Northwest, and when the sun shines out here, it's holy. You know, everybody's loving it. So it's just a feel good vibe, like Will Smith's Summertime. You know, it's feel good. And I'm with Ryan. You know, he's 5 years older. He's in college. I'm like 13 at this time. And at that point, I'm looking up to you and Ryan, like, you guys are kind of like superheroes because you've always been so much stronger than me and so much more everything, right? Yeah. So in my head, it's like, if something were to happen, Ryan will take care of it. You know, this is like the fittest of his life and everything, right? Yeah. So I'm rolling with these two dudes, and we're cruising, and and the windows down, and we're cruising on this street, kind of a side street through a neighborhood, or not through a neighborhood, but there's houses on either side, right? And we hear over the music this shrill shrieking, "Help me! Help!" And we're like, music down, like, oh snap, like something. All the hairs, like sensors, are up, and so we look around. And off to our left, not very far, I mean, it's the house right on the street, so you're talking maybe 50 feet. There's a woman who is trying to pull back this larger individual from beating on this dude who, they're at the front railing of like the front porch space, and there's this railing, and this dude just boom, knocks this dude through the railing. And then he's holding him, and he's like, just like, he's pounding on this dude, and the guy that's getting beat up is the one he's the one that's screaming. It's so shrill, he's so screaming. So I watch that boom through, like, into the railing, and like the second hit, and he's help, and he looks up directly at our vehicle, and he just screams, "Help!" Directed, like the higher pitch than I am, directly at our vehicle. He's looking straight into everyone in this car's soul right now, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, this is the moment. This is where I get to see my brother get out and just whoop ass and be the superhero. This is amazing. And he has his teammate, his homie right here, and they're just going to take care of business, right? Like, they're going to go save that man that's crying for help. That's not what happened. What had happened was, I'm looking at these two like, yo, what are we waiting for? Like, are you going to go save the situation? And Ryan looks at me and he's like, you don't know what's going on over there. That dude might have slept with the other dude's wife and he just got caught. That's not our fight. And I was like, jaw dropped, like, are you kidding me? But then I was like, oh, that makes sense. And instantly I saw the whole situation differently than I did in my mind. So I looked back at the dude out the window, and Ryan and his homie had they just kind of shared that info with me, like, nah, man, that's not our fight, and they both turned around too, and it was like slow motion. Everybody, all three heads look at this dude, and Ryan and his homie both just go, the slowest head shake of like, nope, not us, you're on your own, kid. And I was like, oh my God. We slowly pulled off from that. This man was looking at us like his only hope. And I was like, oh my God, there are more than one side to every story.
Yep. That's 100% true. And I can totally see Ryan doing that. Ryan's like, no, I'm not that guy.
Yeah, he's like, I don't even like to fight for me. I'm not gonna go fight for somebody else. You're trying to, like,
Ryan's like, there's a reason I'm in track.
Like, nah. See, I don't fight because they just can't catch me. So, I'm not gonna be there.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah. So, that's what popped into my head as you were just sharing that. So,
yeah,
go on. This is
okay.
There's a life lesson there. You choose what lesson that is.
So, but no, back to the bar scene thing, right? Like, it's that same idea of I don't know what's going on there. And how many times in life do you as an individual listen to somebody with no background information on who they are? Right? Like, it's such a small percentage of meeting random people that they're going to give you some sort of advice that you're just going to take flat out. Because you don't know what the context is, you don't know what their backstory is or anything like that. And so if you really are trying to share the gospel and you're really trying to help people understand it, it's going to be the people that are closest to you that are going to ask you the questions about it. It's going to be those that are in what you call your circle of influence, right? It's not going to, for most people. There's some that have, special calling on their life and a gifting to do that. But for most of us, that's not the call. Like, the call is to live your life as an example. So that is dope. If that's the call, so far you could fuck this up, but so far you have answered that call from my perspective inside the circle of influence. For sure, you've answered that call
time and time again, which is very cool to see. It's very cool to witness and be a part of an experience. So what does the Bible say and like your walk say about like lying about shooting your brother with an arrow? What does it say about that?
It says that's wrong, which is why I have never lied about shooting you with the arrow. Because I've never shot you with the arrow.
Hey,
I shot
God's
you with
listening.
a BB gun.
Okay, that's how you're gonna get away with it. You're gonna tell one truth to try to hide the. Okay, I got it. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying,
yeah. No,
like,
yeah, you did. Yeah, you
do you
did.
remember that?
Yes, in the backyard.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, I do. I do remember that. I also remember when you shot me with an arrow, but hey.
I did not shoot you with an arrow, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so here's the deal.
Okay,
You're going to stick to this, even though over several decades, you've asked me and Ryan both separately about details of the story, and we both lined up identically, and we've never talked to each other about the story.
nah. See, you got me. You trying to play me right now. What I know to be true is that y'all were both present, and so you was like, "Look, dude, it's gonna be both our asses. We gotta take this to the grave."
No.
Yeah, and then you pinned it on the neighbor. That's what I know to be true.
It was the neighbor. Like, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Like, you
Okay.
know, this is
Yeah.
some truths are harder to accept, and that's okay that you don't want to accept it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, what is going on in your golf game?
So,
I need to know what's going on in your golf game. I watched you a week and a half ago. I was in person with you. We were playing golf, and I watched you not only blade a chip shot across the green, but then go chase it, and then chunk the chip that you chunked it so much that you laid the grass over the top. You laid the sod, you folded it right over the top of your golf ball, and then the next chip, you double chipped it.
yeah.
You chipped it and then hit it again in the air because of your decel. What is going on with your golf game, bro?
Like, so first off, I told you I suck at golf, but that's also because I firmly believe that everybody sucks at golf. Like, you just suck at different levels, right? Like, I remember watching an interview with Tiger Woods at the peak of his career, and they were like, "Hey, in a round, how many perfect shots do you have?" And he's like, "Oh, like 6." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Everything else is just good misses." And so at that point, if you get 6 out of, let's say he shot a great score of 68, right? 62 shots were not ideal.
Well, let me stop you right there. The problem is you used great score with Tiger Woods in his prime, and then you said 68. That's a problem.
Yeah,
right?
It would
I think
probably be like 64 or...
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem is just mentally your whole game might just be messed up. Like, have you considered that? Maybe you just don't see things like how you should be seeing them, because 68 Tiger Woods in his prime, great, should not be used in the same sentence unless you're saying the great Tiger Woods in his prime accidentally messed up and shot 68.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say.
That's probably true. That's a better description. But, you know, like, that many shots in a round that were actually perfect, like, you realize that everybody just sucks at different levels. So I accept that I suck at golf. So that's the first one. The second part you also witnessed a few weeks ago in that same tournament. I'm fat. And so I ran out of energy on the back nine. And it's like, that was a real revelation to me, because even like the past few years, like, I'm the same weight I was last year and the year before. Like, I haven't gained weight, but I definitely am not as young as I was, and being fat and old, it exponentially makes things worse. So like, Xavier and I went and played actually day before yesterday, went and played 9 holes. And granted, I'm gonna give myself a caveat on this because I was sick over the weekend. So I was sick all the way through Sunday, and then Monday evening we decided to go play. But I was walking a not difficult course. You know Fort Lewis, right? Fort Lewis is not a hard course.
Yeah.
And I literally was like fatigued after the 3rd hole. And part of that was being sick. We play red.
What course were you playing? Red? Okay. That's bad because all of that is pretty much flat. Go on.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, part of it is I was sick, right? Like, I think had I
Yeah.
not been sick, I would have probably gotten fatigued on like 9. But
Yeah.
it's still, that affects the golf game big time because
Yep.
once I get to that point, I'm kind of like when we played with Dad a few years ago when he was hurting. When he's hurting, he's not trying to hit a shot. He's just trying to get done with the hole. And that's where I was at too, right? So like when you're not focusing on it, you're just like, oh, whatever. So that makes me suck more than I normally suck. But
Yeah.
I am kind of on a mission to get that stamina up to a good sustainable place.
When you say mission, what does that look like?
Least amount of effort, most amount of impact.
Prayer. Got it. Okay.
Yo.
Y'all send Billy your thoughts and prayers for his golf stamina.
Yeah. I need that.
That is hilarious.
If you could send 2 a day, that would be appreciated.
That is hilarious. Most impact for least amount of effort. That sounds like I swear you sound like that would have been a Shaq line. Like I would expect Shaquille O'Neal to say something like that about Charles Barkley.
Look, this dude does the least amount of effort to try to get the most impact, but he ain't gonna work. He ain't gonna work hard out there.
That's you.
Yeah,
That's you.
That's it. That's how I feel.
Shout out to
so it's
Shaq. I
okay.
love
Shaq.
Shaquille O'Neal. That man is hilarious, and I think he's just such a hustler in business. But okay, those things aside, what do you hope for real? And you're like, I'm on a mission. What do you hope happens here?
So on like you talking about like the health physical side of it, or just golf?
The health physical side as it connects to golf. Because here's what I'm hearing. You are finally, as the anomaly athlete that you are, I have watched you now for decades not do anything fitness related, but still go out and outperform a lot of people. Now, granted, it's like church league, city league, and all that stuff, but it doesn't matter. You go out and you give them the business in basketball, baseball, softball, you name it. You're finally coming to the realization, it seems like it's like you got away with this for so many years, and now it's like, you know how when people are like, they were fit and then they got, big and stuff. It's like, and it was just the metabolism. Like I didn't change anything, whatever. My metabolism just caught up. That realization for people of like, I got to do something different. I feel like this is finally happening for you where you're like, I have to do something different. I'm curious of what you think that is, because you're also coming off of, within the last year, you pulled both of your hammies. And it was like, I think you probably had like a grade 1 tear, or maybe 2, because there was discoloration.
Yeah.
You pulled both of them. And then you went out like the next week, I think, and you were trying to play again.
It was actually 3 weeks. We had 2 weeks of break, but I did pull both of my hammies in a church league softball game. And it was one of the most confusing things in my life, because I rounded second base, which, by the way, we kind of talked about this when it happened. Like, for whatever reason, in a softball game, second base has taken me and Ryan out. So you made this commitment to not play softball because you're not gonna have that happen.
May Ryan's Achilles rest in pieces from which it was torn rounding the base. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So,
or if I do play, I'm gonna round the bases excluding second is what I'm gonna do. I'm just not gonna touch second base.
Just gonna skip that one.
Home runs only. Home runs only.
There you go. Well, in church league softball, you only have to get to first on a home run, so that works.
There we go. That's my out. Okay, go on. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I rounded second, and as I was running, it felt like I had the full range of motion from like the muscle standpoint, but the actual range of motion of the lower half of my leg was only like maybe 10 degrees. Like, have you seen Henry Cho, the comedian? Yeah. So,
I think so.
Have you seen when he talks about his Asian dad running and it always looks like he's got coins in his pocket and he's holding a coin?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that range of motion of his legs, that's what I physically had. Even though I felt like I was fully extending my legs, yeah, like I felt like it was there.
Same Bolt.
But it literally was just like I was scooting and that's it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so but yeah, that was brutal. So
Go ahead.
yeah. So like that was a definitely an eye-opening moment where I was like, "Oh, that's not good. We can't do that again." So yeah.
Let me ask you something. You said earlier today in this podcast that you can't really explain how or when God is speaking to you. You just know. And we've heard God works in mysterious ways. How many times do you think it's going to take from your double hamstring tear to your huffing and puffing on the golf course walk to your followed up huffing and puffing on the golf course walk? How many times do you think this message is going to be sent to you? And do you think like, yeah, God's been speaking to me, or am I just totally misreading this? Because you know what I'm saying?
I would say you're not wrong. I think this is
Okay.
one of those that like it is. I would believe that God is trying to get me to wake up to this reality, right? Because
Yeah.
there, like, you think of the perspective of God. God, in His infinite wisdom and His infinite love for us, He always wants what's best. He's always going to drive us towards what is best. And so these kind of things are, has He been telling me, hey, you need to do this? I would say I've had a strong conviction on this for, I would say, maybe 5 months that I've been really thinking about, like, hey, you know what? You need to do something about this. You need to do something about this. Even to where, like, this week I was talking to Xavier because he started jiu-jitsu, which he's loving that, by the way.
I know. We've been talking so much. I'm so pumped.
I think he had his
Third
second or
one-on-one
third.
today.
Was it his third?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But been talking about doing that, going and kind of getting involved in that. So I don't know. I definitely got to do something. I just don't know what it is, and it's got to be something outside the house. Because I tried doing like the little self workout things, and I made it like 2.5 weeks, and then bailed on that. So I'll figure something out. I don't know what it is, where I'm going to go, but
Yeah.
I got to do something.
Jiu-jitsu. Go to jiu-jitsu. Go to jiu-jitsu with
So
your son.
Yeah, I thought about jiu-jitsu. The thing that I'm thinking about right now, though, is for me to go to jiu-jitsu right now feels like pulled hamstrings and quads.
Very
'Cause-
common misconception. But I also felt the same way many times over the years because, I'd like start and go a couple weeks and then stop. I'd start and go a couple weeks. For 15 years, I did this. I totally get what you're describing right now. It's a real fear because you're like, it's a combat sport. It's like I'm going into fighting expecting not to pull something. Totally get it. I will say if you are at a decent school, which I haven't gone to his gym, but he's seemingly having a great time. If you're at a decent spot and you just have a decent framework of like the mindset for training, how you go in there, and for you, I would put some very strict ground rules on because you are a balls to the wall guy, and you might walk in there mentally and be like, okay, I have an idea, and then as soon as it's playtime, you're like, I'm in it, and you're like, put me in.
Yeah.
So if you structure it in a good way, you won't have that issue. Like basically make a commitment of I'm not going to spar, I'm not going to roll until I've gone to X amount of classes or whatever. Because all it is, like the classes, you aren't going to injure yourself that way unless you do something crazy. You just won't. It's not inherently dangerous that way any more than if you were like, I'm going to go to the gym and lift weights. I'm going to go and lift weights at home or do this home workout thing. It's not like that. The only difference is you just have other moving chess pieces, and a good gym is not going to put you with another newbie unless you're sparring sort of bit. And it's like, oh, put someone equal level or whatever. A good gym is going to put you with someone advanced that's going to be like, hey, man, watch this, do this, do that, don't do that, that sort of bit. So that concern, even though I've been there as well, I could tell you at a good gym, decent, even just a halfway decent training partner, you won't have that issue at all. You just won't.
Yeah, I think that you described it perfectly. Like, my fear is I don't know how to go slow. Like, that's still, I mean, that's been, even this last year was a change in my golf game to force myself to go slow, right? That's helped big time in that. But, Xavier's been trying to get me to go play basketball on Sunday nights, and I know I don't have that ability in that sport for sure.
I agree with that.
So definitely
stay off the court.
Yeah.
The difference is, man, there are plenty of people, 40 plus. Like, I have a friend who, he didn't start jiu-jitsu until after he was 40 years old. His name, if you want to follow him, his name's Tony. He's black belt in jiu-jitsu, just got his black belt recently, semi-recent, like within the last year. And his name on Instagram is Jiu-Jitsu After 40 because he started it after he turned 40. And the guy is he's solid, he's great. It's so cool to watch him. I've watched him progress since, I think I met him when he was a purple belt. And there's plenty of guys like that. I got guys in my gym who didn't even start until they were in their 60s, which is very legitimate. And the thing is, they roll with the other guys who are like in their 60s. There's one guy at my gym. He's a high-ranked blue belt, and he's so cool. This guy is awesome. He's in his 60s. His name's Elton. If he ends up hearing this, I have so much love and respect for this guy. And we just rolled for the first time. I've taken classes with him for 6-7 months now, and we just rolled for the first time like 3 weeks ago. And part of that is like, if you're an older guy, you don't want to roll with a younger, explosive dude, right? And unless they're pretty well in control. And so I've gotten to a level where I'm less explosive and crazy when I roll, because every white belt is the same way that you describe for yourself. You have that on switch in all sports, but the thing is, it's different with like jiu-jitsu because it's an on switch that happens for survival. Everybody has that. When you're like, this is my first time, and you're getting put into a position where you're like, I can't help myself no matter how hard I'm trying. You try harder. But it doesn't help if you're going against somebody that knows what they're doing, right? So that same freak out mode is unanimous across white belts. It's unanimous. It's not just unique to you. And so it's built into the gym. It's built into the sport itself. It's built into the art, so that it's like, okay, we kind of know that he's going to do this, because most people haven't been choked out. And if they have been choked out, it was probably by their brother when the kid was in kindergarten and their brother choked him out in the living room and they fell face first and got a rug burn on their face.
Hold on a second. First off, we didn't choke you out. And second, we made you. Hold on. I'm gonna get there. So
it wasn't strangulation. It wasn't strangulation.
Correct.
You weren't around my neck, but choked out.
You did pass out, and second, it was 2 rug burns on your face.
Yeah.
That was so for everybody that may be watching this, what happened is, I was in middle school. Again, boys are dumb, and there was this fad going around, and people should not do it because it is very dangerous. But
definitely do not do this. The more I've learned in my adult life, I'm like, how did I not die, for one? And how did other kids in school, as much as this was happening in your school, like, how did they not die? Because there's aspects of this of like, oh, man, there should have been other precautions. Yeah, go ahead. Don't do it, kid.
Yeah, I'm not even going to give the description of how to do it because it's not good.
Good call.
But there was this thing going around school where boys were going around and we were making each other pass out. And I stumbled upon this. We were in the locker room after PE class and some boys were doing it. And I'm on the side, and again, like a dumb boy, I see somebody pass out and I'm like, that looks cool, do it to me. And so they do it to me. I pass out and I hit my head on the locker. But when I hit my head on the locker, is because the locker was right here, right? Like, I was kind of against it already, and so when I passed out, I was doop. and then I
You were
came
just
to.
sitting up already.
Yeah. So
Fully supported. Yeah. Crazy.
I get home and I start talking to you and Ryan about it, and I was like, dude, we got to do this. So we start kind of working the logistics in our head, and we're like, okay, I'm the one that knows how to do it. Anthony's not strong enough to really push back against Ryan. So, Ryan, you're going to be behind Anthony, and Anthony, we're going to make you pass out. So we get the little dad's footstool in there. We have you sit down. You go through the process. Ryan's behind you. I'm in front. We make you pass out. And me and Ryan are both like, oh, cool. And we let go at the same time. And then we see you fall face first into the carpet. And then you just start instantly, like, well, not instantly. It was probably like a second or two later. Like, you came to and you start, like, kind of like wiggling. And you're like, oh, and started screaming. And we were like, oh, no. And then when you sat up, you had a rug burn on your nose, on your forehead from where you hit the carpet.
Y'all straight up, y'all have me out there looking like Weekend at Bernie's. You just let me go.
You just went. And the crazy thing is, like, because of like how it physically happened, I had to have let go like a split second before Ryan, because Ryan was pushing you forward. I was pushing you backwards. So when I let go, like, the momentum just pushed you over, and it was pretty amazing. And we got whooped. I remember when Mom got home, she was so mad because we couldn't, like, how do you explain that, right? Like, the youngest one's got a rug burn on his face. Like, there was no way to explain it other than to tell her what happened, and she was.
I'm surprised you didn't tell her. I'm surprised you didn't tell her the neighbor did it.
Yeah, if the neighbor did it, I would have told her it was the neighbor.
It worked for you. Worked for you before, didn't it?
Yeah, because it was the truth.
That is hilarious. So, yes, the more you learn about this stuff, and the more time in jiu-jitsu and everything like that, it's like you don't have that same concept of, like, man, I don't want to go on the softball field and then pull two hammies, and go on the jiu-jitsu mat and pull two hammies, that sort of thing. You're not going to really put yourself, there's not really a situation that you're going to do that unless you start sparring right off the bat, which I do not recommend at all. I recommend you go in there and either you spar, you roll with somebody who's a much higher belt and similar size, like a purple belt who's similar size to you, close to. Because they're full on going to control your body even when you don't want them to. They're going to control your body, which means controlled falling or controlled tipping over, or controlled all this stuff to where it's like you're not in a dangerous zone. You go with somebody who's new that also is in freak out survive mode. That's where injuries and all that danger and stuff happens. So you'll be totally fine going in. Anybody that's like, man, I got to get in shape before I go, it's totally not true. It's totally not true for a couple reasons, in my opinion. One, because you could be in terrific shape and then go do jiu-jitsu for your first couple times, and you are still going to gas and burn yourself out because you are not in I'm surviving and fighting for my life shape, which is the feeling you get exposed to when you do this art. You just get exposed to it. It doesn't matter. You're not really in any danger, especially with a good gym. You're never in any real danger, because if you're uncomfortable, even if it's not like, oh, they have a real submission on me, if you're just uncomfortable, you tap, they get off, they stop, everything stops. That's how you stop the game, right? So you're never in any real danger, but it feels like it. It feels like you are full on fighting for your life, and you could be in incredible shape. You could be an Olympic athlete shape who's never done any sport or combative sport or a fight sport where it's like I'm fighting for my life, and you're still going to go out in there and feel like I am not in shape, because it's just a different type of shape. So there's no level you're ever going to get to if you decide, oh, let me get fit first before I go. There's no level you're going to get to that's going to put you in like jiu-jitsu shape. It's just doing it. It's doing the thing that does it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, if you're like, man, I got to get in shape, I don't want to do an at-home thing, and I don't really know, and like you're not really that driven, like I just want to I'm going to go to a gym and do it solo. The one big aspect with jiu-jitsu that is very prominent in keeping people coming back is the community that you build. You show up to a gym, everybody's a stranger. Everyone's a stranger who is going to try to kill you, theoretically. Like, obviously, they're not going to. You just tap out. Training partners are great. Nobody's trying to hurt anybody. But everybody's a stranger who's going to try to kill you. And then you try to kill them, and they try to kill you, and you try to kill them, and you kill them here, they kill you here, blah, 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 blah. You pass it back and forth over the months, over the months, over the months. But you're also going through these things with people who are like, man, yeah, I'm just having a hard time. You know, I just broke up with my girlfriend, or my spouse just left me, or my dog died, or whatever it may be. You're watching and working with people as they're going through life, like real life experiences. And if you think that's not going to build bonds, you have never been around community, right? Like the thing that you get from going to church, that's what I get going to jiu-jitsu is like, I just love the bond and the shared aspect of this that we all just get. And you only really get it when you keep showing up. That's it. Like that's the whole game, right? That's what I tell Xavier. You want to do this? Great. You probably have a lot of reasons you want to do it, whether it's fitness, whether it's you want to get a black belt, you want to kick someone's ass who's been bullying you. It doesn't matter what the reason is. The only one solution I've ever found so far to reach that goal, whatever your goal is to make your opponent to just keep showing up. That's it. That's what changed for me. All these years of in and out, it was, oh, I want to go learn this. Oh, I want to do this. All the wrong reasons. It's like, just keep showing up. Just commit to that. Once a week is my only commitment. Even now with my busted rib, just once a week. Even if I just have to watch, if I can't actually participate, I'm going to go once a week. And what's going to end up happening, you're going to watch this in your son. You're going to watch this. If you haven't seen a little glimpse of it already, you're going to watch it in him where he starts to just look at things, not just human bodies, but he looks at things totally different. The way that I look at a human body now, way different from me a year ago. Way different. It doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter where I'm at. I look at the human body very differently. I think of when you guys made me pass out when I was in kindergarten. Who would do that to their kindergarten brother? You guys did. When I think about that and I think about what actually went on with, like, within the body for that pass out and the lack of oxygen to the brain and all this stuff, it's like I realize how dangerous that is, but also how easily you can put that on to somebody and also take it off. Like you could choke somebody and then they're unconscious, you can let go and they're still going to survive. You could do that back and forth. That's actually a form of torture. I think Russians did back in the day, was like they would just torture. You'd go unconscious, doctor would bring you back, and they'd repeat, rinse and repeat, and just keep you alive, kill you, bring you back, kill you, bring you back, sort of thing. But anyway, that's my rant on jiu-jitsu. I definitely think it should be an option. If you've even considered it, it should be an option, and you shouldn't feel like you have to wait. You don't have to wait. You can go in there right now as you are at the level you're at, and you will be just fine.
That's good enough.
But also understand, like, don't get it twisted. At some point, if you stick to the game, if you stick to the art, you will get injured. Someday, sometime, someplace. But the same is true in pretty much any sport. The difference is if you do this and you keep doing it long enough, not only do you get healthier, not only do you build better bonds, not only do you develop a stronger mindset and a way to just go about life across the board, but you also increase your likelihood of being able to save yourself and your family or anybody, loved ones, in bad scenarios. You just develop a skill set that most people don't have, and they don't even have an ounce of it or even a relative understanding of it. I was there for so many years, very cocky. Oh, I could punch and kick, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, not the game, buddy. Not the game. But it's worth a shot. I think you should just go try it, whether you commit to like, oh, I'm going to go do a week or a month, whatever your commitment is. Just go try it and just see how it feels, because you'll be bonding with your son. You'll be bonding with your brother, because I love this. And, yeah, I think it'd be really good for you. Just check it out. And then if you're like, oh, it's not for me, I don't want to, go on to the next thing. You got to say yes a bunch before you find your thing, and then you say no to a bunch.
Yeah. Yep, I got to figure it out, so.
But, you know, hey, prayers for you on that. And, you know, if you want to keep ignoring the signs.
Yeah. Remember.
Good luck.
Remember, I need 2 prayers a day.
Yeah, 2 prayers. That's so good. Let's bring this thing. Let's land this thing. This has been awesome. For the record, I didn't even share this up front, but this was a non-planned podcast. I was just wildly like, you know what? I'm going to see if I can call somebody randomly, and the first person that agrees to pop on right now and do a podcast, totally unplanned, unprepared, the first person that answers and is available is down to do it. We're doing it, and that's how this came about. So Oddly enough, this has been one of my most enjoyable ones, probably because you're my brother, but also because we just winging it, which is great. A good feeling. But that said, your message to the world, if you're like, this is my moment, I have the megaphone that's going to speak to every person's ear, heart, soul. What is your message to the world?
Ooh. The one message to the world that I would give is, and again, this is from the frame of understanding that I have of God, is every single person in every single place is loved more than you could understand. God cares more for you than you will ever understand. And following him will only give you a peace and understanding that you can never imagine, and it will continuously confuse you. That will help you to be able to enjoy things like this with your family, right? Like, that is the thing that has changed me most, is it allowed me to see the world in a different way and really enjoy the family that God's given me between my wife, my kids, you, Ryan, mom, dad, your families. Like, it's just such a crazy thing to understand, or to try and understand, that the creator of everything cares more about me than any other physical thing he's created, right? Like, all of humanity, we're on the same level, but we are so much more valuable to him than anything else that was created. So that would be it.
That is beautiful, and I don't want to outshine that or anything, but my message would be
No, I didn't shoot you in the face with the arrow.
that no matter what goes on in your life, and if you have siblings that you love dearly and they may not love you the same, even if they do shoot you in the face with an arrow and deny it for the rest of their lives, even if that happens, you can still find love for those people, and you can have a wonderful relationship with those individuals because you know the truth in your heart. And no matter how much they want to deny that truth for the rest of their lives and take it to the grave, you can still love those family members. So that would be my message to the world if I were to put one out there. But that, to each their own, Billy. To each their own.
It's a different message,
Yeah.
Mine might be true, yours might be false, but it's different
No,
messages.
no. All right, bro. Oh man, I love you, dude. I'm so glad we
Love
got
you
to
too,
do this,
bro.
and this was
Yeah.
super fun and spontaneous. I'm really, really happy we got to do this, and would love to do it again sometime.
Yeah. I will say, like, this has been an absolute blast. And for you, I don't know if you know this or not, but this was actually my first ever podcast. So this was absolutely an amazing way to have it be number one. Was
You
this
crushed
time
it.
with you.
You crushed it, dude. The only advice I would give is like your next podcast invite, no matter where that is or what it's on, just don't lie like you did here, and you'll be good, man. You just don't want to like, lie to the people about when you shot me in the face with the arrow. That's it, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I love you guys dearly. I hope you are living it up with your life, and keep growing, be dynamic, live your life up to your own terms, and follow success on your own terms, and just tell the truth when you have a question arise about being shot in the face with the arrow. Much love. That's it. We're gonna wrap it up.